Ice fishing season is almost here, and before you step on that first sheet of ice, I want to go over 10 quick reminders that'll help you have a more successful and safe year. Let's get into it.
Go, grab the bait, grab the hook.
To start with, I like to make sure that my fishing rods are all set. And a lot of these things I'm going to go over have plagued me in the past, especially on the first outing. So first off, if you've been out ice fishing last year and you, let's say, got a bunch of water frozen on your line as you're reeling your spool up, that spool, the line on it will be loose because it had frozen water on the line, which made it wrap looser. You took it home, it melted, and now sometimes you can pull some line out and then your spool will start free spinning. So it'd be a good idea to strip your line out a ways, reel it back in, make sure it's good and tight, so when you get that first bite this year, you won't have a miss. Secondly, make sure that your line is strong, that there's no nicks in it. Pretty basic stuff, but just run your fingers down it, make sure you don't feel any cuts or any nicks, and obviously make sure that your hooks are all ready to go and that you don't have any dried waxworms on there from last year. Couple things to talk about here. Number one, you need to make sure it works. So whether you have a gas auger, a propane auger, an electric auger, you need to make sure that your battery's charged, that your motor runs, those types of things. Additionally, it's a good time right now to check and make sure that the blades on your auger are good and sharp. So if we take the cover off here, we can see that the blade is attached. You can see that the blade is attached by 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here. You can actually remove those. Your Ice Auger company will sell replacement blades, or you could use a grinder and look up a video on YouTube on how to sharpen your Ice Auger blades on your own. Make sure you have your Minnow scoop. If you don't have your Minnow scoop and you go out on that first trip, you're going to end up having some very cold, wet hands digging that slush out of your hole. So always remember the Minnow scoop. That gets us into our next thing, which is how to stay warm. One of the big pieces of staying warm is having hot hands or hand warmers when you are out on the ice. Now most people will buy hand warmers and they have no idea how old the ones are in their pack. There's actually an expiration date on each package. These ones say expiration 02 of 24. So February of 24, these hand warmers expired. I give you permission, throw them out, get some new ones. Next up, you're going to want to make sure that your buddy heater works. So I've got a buddy heater here. I've got my refill and I've got my refillable propane tanks. You need to make sure that your tanks are good and full. This one I can tell needs to be refilled. This one's still full. Make sure you got your propane tanks, either purchase new ones, refill them, however you go about doing that. Put them onto your buddy heater. Make sure your buddy heater turns on. Sometimes dust and garbage can get into the ignition way on the buddy heater, and you don't want to find that out the first time you're on the ice. And next up, you want to make sure you have your tackle ready. I do a lot of white fishing, so I have a selection here of baits that I use for whitefish and burbot. Everything from plastics on the end to tip my lures with, to all of my jigs. They all fit nicely in this box, and there you go, I'm all set. Make sure that when you put your lures away, if they are wet, that you open up your container, your tackle box when you get home to give them an opportunity to dry out, otherwise the hooks can rust. Make sure to watch an ice safety video, that you have good ice picks, that you're aware of the conditions. There's a lot of varying conditions based on the body of water you're fishing. I fish on Lake Michigan a bit, specifically in Green Bay, And we have to watch the wind very heavily, understand if the bay is fully locked up or if the wind can blow the ice around. Some people run into springs in their lakes where the spring will constantly be bubbling up and causing the ice to be thinner or completely open. And then another good thing to know is a shallow spot in the lake, especially with a rocky bottom, will cause the sun to get warmer. It'll warm up the water and melt the ice, make the ice thinner. So always keep that in mind too. If you're in a scenario where there might be just enough ice to drive on and there isn't an excessive amount, be careful driving over shallow reefs, especially rocky shallow reefs, because there's a good chance that ice will be thinner than other areas in the lake. Make sure that you have all your clothing out. You saw me come into the video earlier with my hat and mittens and bibs. But just make sure you can find all those things. You know, sometimes spring comes quickly, you turn on to the next sport and you don't do a good job of putting away all your winter clothes, and therefore some items can get lost. So make sure you can find those. While you're talking about winter clothes, these are kind of my essentials. I like to have a base layer to go around my neck. Then I have my big furry hat to go on my head where it can clip down over my ears. And then I've got these double layer wool felted mittens that my wife made. And these things are seriously, I mean, you can have your hands just freezing and you put them in here and they warm right up. Same type of thing goes with your socks. I've struggled with cold feet for many, many years, and one of the biggest things you can do to help with that is get wool socks, but then wear your wool socks out. When your feet get moist and start getting cold, bring a spare pair of dry wool socks, swap them out. Your feet will stay warm all day. Once I started doing that, complete game changer. You are going to want to have some sort of towel to clean up fish mess when you're catching fish. And I designed this towel called Fish Rag that has a magnet on the end of a carabiner. That way you can attach it to your ice fishing bibs. And when you need to wipe something up, you can take it off the magnet, give it a good wipe, and then when you're ready to put it back on, it just clips and hangs on your body. If you want to check that out, www.fishrag.com. I actually haven't sold one, so still kind of experimenting with that. We'll see how it does this ice fishing season. Lastly, I have a hack for you to turn your buddy heater into a portable grill. Let me grab that and show you. So when you have your buddy grill, this heat shield actually can be popped off. And I can tell you it will make it a little nasty over the years, but it's way better than having to bring in a separate grill. I love picking up brats from Quick Trip and buns. You swap this thing around and there you go. Now you can roll your brats across the top here and they cook. It makes the shack smell amazing and usually gets the fish to bite too. They always like to bite on your hook when you're trying to eat lunch. So there you go. There's 10 quick reminders on how to have a more successful ice fishing season. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or drop a comment to your favorite tip for ice fishing down below. And hope to see you guys out ice fishing. Got a couple trips planned to go chase some whitefish among other things. So looking forward to it. Go catch something big.